going to leave NBC's coverage right now of what's going on in Washington with President Bush. We will be able to watch that live on our Facebook feed. We're going to start, though, now with News Center Now. George H.W. Bush on his final tour of our nation's capital, the city remembering the 41st president's lifetime of public service. Good evening, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
I'm Cameron O'Brien. Bush passed away late Friday at his home in Houston at the age of 94. He spent at least every part of every summer of his life, except for one, at the family home in Kennebunkport. People lining up all weekend long at Walker's Point and in Houston to pay their respects.
Similar types of crowds are expected in Washington this week, and that's where we go now live, where Cindy Williams is standing by. Cindy, what has it been like down there today?
Well, today, Lee, it was really remarkably quiet on the streets of Washington, D.C. There were lots of barricades around, not only for the procession that was expected and you just witnessed just a short time ago, but also for the lines and lines of people who are expected to file through the Capitol Rotunda to view the president's casket as he lies in state. George H.W. Bush's body is now in the Rotunda. It's surrounded by members of both houses of Congress for a special ceremony for the former president. After each congressional leader, after several of the congressional leaders speak, each member of Congress will be able to approach the casket. Today, we caught up with Congressman Bruce Poliquin. He noted the somber mood of the city today, said it was wholly appropriate as we say goodbye to our 41st president, whom he called a real treasure to the state of Maine. He talked about George and Barbara Bush's many contributions to the people of Maine, and he got very emotional when talking about the ceremony going on right now and how poignant it is for everybody, how it reminds him that life is short, that we're only here for a very short time, but that George Bush certainly accomplished a lot in his lifetime. I didn't know this before I started looking into this, but did you know that each president is asked to begin planning his funeral shortly after he takes office? That is certainly something that George H.W. Bush did. He had plenty of years afterward to hone those plans. It is being carried out by 4,000 members of the military. They are very precise, very dignified in how they carry out these ceremonies. We were talking with Senator Susan Collins earlier today about that. We're going to hear from her at 5:30. As for tonight, the public will be allowed into the Rotunda starting at 7:30. Before that, after the congressional members take their turn, staff will have a moment with the president's casket, as will governors and other leaders from across the nation. That would include Governor Paul LePage, whom we expect here in Washington this evening. I'm going to send it back to you, and we're going to have more coming up on News Center at 5:30.
All right, Cindy, live in our nation's capital. Thank you very much. So if we could get a winter where every day was like today, I would be all in.
Me too.
Casey, hook me up, man. What do you say?
I think you're describing spring, actually, is what, that's what today felt like, even though we kind of skipped the whole winter thing. It was in the 50s, 53 in Portland officially, 45 in Wisconsin. You can see the line in which we weren't quite as warm in Bangor at 38 and 38 in Millinocket, but a pretty good looking day over southern Maine at least. Current temperatures in the mid 40s, 46 in Portland, 45 in Saco right now. Naples at 41. To the north, temperatures cooler in the 30s, and we'll start cooling down overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow. We had some rain showers over down East Maine and northern Maine as well, with a little bit of snow coming into Presque Isle and parts of Aroostook County, a few snow showers in the mountains as well. Most of this activity, though, settles down. It's part of a larger cold front that's dragging through tonight, and that's when our air mass changes back to one that's cold, and that's the kind of streak we've been on lately. We'll keep that going. Hour by hour forecast, a couple of snow flurries in the mountains and across northern Maine early tonight. By midnight tonight, we're partly cloudy, and then we should clear out for tomorrow. The next few days are good-looking days, but they are substantially colder than today, ending up only around freezing or so tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we start in the single digits in a lot of spots and only get into the upper 20s by the afternoon. So unfortunately, Lee, a return to that colder than average stuff that dominated November.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was too good to be true. All
Yeah,
right. Thank you very much, sir. In the news today, a federal building in Augusta was closed this morning after a suspicious package was reported to officials. The United States Post Office branch in the Edmund S. Muskie Federal Building in Augusta was closed at about 11 a.m. Police did have to deploy a robot, and after inspecting the package, they determined it was all clear right about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
And the recount for the 2nd Congressional District Congressional race will start on Thursday. It's expected to take about 4 weeks. The Secretary of State's office tweeted that the recount will take a break during Christmas week, so we won't know the final results of that recount until 2019. The original results marked Democrat candidate Jerry Golden winner by about 2,900 votes over Bruce Poliquin in the final round of ranked choice voting.
Students displaced by the Camp Fire in Northern California returned to school today. They'll be gathering on campuses or makeshift spaces outside of Paradise, California. Many middle and high school students are opting to do independent studies instead. Also over the weekend, the Butte County Sheriff's Department announced the number of unaccounted for has dropped to 25 people. Well, with the early winter that our region has certainly seemed to have so far, ski resorts are getting a head start on what they're hoping is going to be a really busy and very prosperous season.
Meanwhile, there's a vacation destination just across the border that sits vacant, but one Maine man is hoping to bring it back to the glory it used to have.
Wrong?
I don't think that I've ever done anything for the purpose of proving someone wrong, but I have enjoyed being right.
Les Otten is a bit of a hopeless romantic. After moving to Maine in 1972, Otten bought Sunday River Ski Resort 8 years later and turned it into one of the premier ski destinations in the Northeast.
There you go. Take your hat off. Take your hat off.
In 2001, he helped form the current ownership group of the Boston Red Sox and spent 5 years as a minority owner with the task of saving Fenway Park. His newest labor of love is located in Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. The Balsams.
I'm still very optimistic that we'll be able to complete the project.
Otten purchased the historic venue back in January of 2014. Almost 5 years later, he is still waiting to get to work on the physical restoration of the property that opened in 1895 and provided first-class service and amenities year-round.
Bringing that back seems to me to be easy. What was great once, it can be great again.
There are roadblocks.
Credit enhancement right now with the Business Finance Authority would seem to be the single most important fact to get past, and there's a couple of different ways to get past that, and we're working with our local delegation here in Coos County to create some alternatives for us so that we don't have to go through the Business Finance Authority.
Bringing the Balsams back won't be cheap. It would be much easier for the almost 70-year-old multimillionaire to sit back and relax. Those who know Otten realize that's not an option.
Unless I want to retire, which isn't something that's in my vocabulary, this is an opportunity to build something for the next decade that can be meaningful to the region, to the state of New Hampshire, to the western part of the state of Maine, and the opportunity again to create something from something is it's irresistible to me.
Optimism aside, the project has gone slower than he and his investors had hoped, and with those delays have come frustrations. That being said, the plan has not been altered.
I think it's always in the back of your mind that there needs to be a place where you stop and people ask what plan B is, and plan B is plan A. And as long as the people that are working with us stay in our corner, then we'll continue to move forward to bring this to a reality. It's not that far away in one hand. On the other side of the coin, until it actually starts, it's far away.
This is such a huge project that, if it comes to fruition, and I guess Les, if he were here, would say when it comes to fruition, this is hundreds and hundreds of jobs that will benefit a part of New Hampshire that really needs it, a part of Maine that really needs it. So certainly hoping that everything works out and they can get that place up and running again. It's
a labor
beautiful.
of love.
Yeah.
It seems like he's really invested.
Yep, well, he's definitely invested. All right. Also invested. An update for you now on a story that we first talked about maybe about a month ago. 5-year-old Libby Ruhlman and her family spent their second year collecting gifts for the Ouchie Box. Now, the box is something that sits at the Maine Children's Cancer Program where Libby was once a patient. Kids get to grab something from the box once their treatments are over. For the past month, local businesses have been helping Libby round up stuff to provide for the kids. Today was the day, well, she got to go in and drop them off.
just overwhelming in a really awesome way. We have a great community and so many supporters behind us, and everybody was very willing to help and wanted to help.
Sarah says this year's collection more than doubled last year's, and they're already looking forward to year 3 of the Ouchie Box toy drive. I love that, the Ouchie Box.
Oh, it's so great.
That's so good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Alrighty, up next, University of Maine is moving into the FCS quarterfinals, and that'll take them out west. Jackie Mundry is live with the latest.
And one South Portland elementary school teacher just came back from the trip of a lifetime with her dear old dad in tow. What the pair did and why they say the trip was life-changing, that's coming up on Now. What's cool? What's cool?
So she's the band teacher for all of South Portland schools. But they were like, we know when Leah Goldberg's kids go to South Portland schools.
I'm pretty sure that my kids have had her at some point. Yeah, Paul, that's a great story. I only got to meet the president, I shouldn't say only, I got to meet the president once. It was at a Sea Dogs game. And I was actually asked to interview him, and in 28 years of doing this job, that's the only time I've ever been nervous. I mean, I've interviewed everybody in sports that you could think of, and including Michael Jordan. I wasn't nervous, but I interviewed President Bush, and I was nervous. So he couldn't have been nicer, but it was at a Sea Dogs game, so he was a very big fan and was often seen at Hadlock Field. So I'm glad that you had a chance to say hello to him. All right, you want to chop this up a little bit?
Yeah. I'll take the bottom half.
All right, so it's Weber.
Oh, okay, I'll take the top half.
It's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure you know it's Weber State, not Weber.
Okay, I'll say Weber.
Yeah, it's phonetically spelled that way.
Okay.
So I'll stop at Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey Fred, how are you, sir? Yeah, we're gonna have, for those of you, and obviously, this might be our last break. Hold on a second.
Weber.
We'll have coverage all week of President Bush. You just saw Cindy Williams is there with Samantha York. They'll be there Monday and Tuesday in the nation's capital. Then Chris Costa is going with Zach Blanchard. They'll be in Houston for the actual funeral Thursday. So we will be covering that.
Weber.
Quite a bit.
As in wee ones. Weber.
Weber.
Great. Thanks. Wee.
UMaine football team moving on to the FCS quarterfinals. Black Bears beat Jacksonville on Saturday 55-27.
And now they're headed out west to face the Weber State Wildcats. News Center's Jackie Mundry joins us from Bangor. Hey, girl.
Hey, Lee and Cam, there is still more Maine football to be played. The Black Bears beat Jacksonville State 55-27 on Saturday afternoon. They, of course, celebrated with friends and family after the big win, but we're back to business this morning as they look ahead to a road trip to Utah to take on Weber State.
Very well coached team. I'm very impressed with them on film, and we'll have to play at a very high level to win. And it's not just gonna, we talk about our belief and all those things about caring about each other, but we have to match that with our execution like we did last weekend to have a really good chance to win.
Jess Gagne and I are heading to Utah with the team to bring you all the updates.
All right, that'll be an awesome trip, Jackie, but let me ask you this. Weber State, they're the number 2 seed, Maine's a 7 seed. Once again, Black Bears will be underdogs. I'm assuming they don't really care about that.
No, they're kind of used to being underdogs. They're confident. Senior receiver Micah Wright said this morning that they have a legit chance to win here. And even though they're going to travel 2 time zones and be in a higher altitude than Maine, Coach Simiak and his players said they'll be ready.
And the team's had a lot of ups and downs. So what do they say about the kind of season they've had?
Coach H says there's been a lot of great moments, but they're not really reflecting on them quite yet. He says the team is doing a good job of living in the moment and looking ahead.
All right, Jackie, thank you very much. And we'll be checking in with you from out in Utah. And that game is going to be on Friday night, 8 o'clock. You can see it on ESPN2. News Center Maine's 36th annual Coats and Toys for Kids drive was just a giant success. Thank you guys so much. From Sanford and Portland, Bangor, Machias, and everywhere in between. You guys came through as you always do, donating new and gently used coats and some new toys for our neighbors in need during the holiday season.
This past Saturday alone, Mainers donated more than 4,500 coats, 5,000 toys, and $2,000 to the Salvation Army. There's still a chance to donate at one of our 8 locations through the end of the month.
All right, can you imagine packing for a trip, showing up to the airport, having no idea where you're going? Well, guess what? That happened to a South Portland teacher and her dad. They're calling it the trip of a lifetime.
Yep, and Keith Carson's got a look at your full forecast coming up.
Creepy Carson. Creepy Carson.
Thank you.
Hey, Isaac. What was that again?
Oh, oopsie. Sorry.
Don't fall over on me.
You're right.
What's up, John? How are you, sir? Oh, thanks, Paul. That was fun. That was a fun little Hanukkah commercial.
Yeah, people are loving that.
On the ice, man. I know, that was cool. That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah, Kiri, that is too early for a sunset. Come on.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. Jeez.
Since this intro is cam only, do you want to just do a one shot of her, or do you want me to sit here and smile?
And look pretty.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm just asking. There you go. Meow. I'll scooch.
All the way. All the way.
Scooch him. Scooching. What's up, Garrison? How are you doing? How you doing? Excited to see this story.
It was so good. I'm not to like gas up my own story or anything, but you better pay attention. It's so good. I hope you guys like it. They're just so excited to share their experience.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, I could do an all expenses paid trip by JetBlue.
Could you show up though and not know where you're going and not plan for anything and just show up? See, because I couldn't do that.
I think that would
not work.
That would probably get me. I like to plan.
OCD, like I gotta know what's going on.
Yeah.
I want to plan for everything.
Right.
I mean, I would need something like.
Yeah, they just gave you like
cold,
they gave you temperatures and like here is an idea of what you should pack, but beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you gave me an idea of temperature and what to pack, that at that point I'd be cool with it.
Yeah.
Ooh, Garrison, what's for dinner? I'm a little hungry.
A South Portland elementary school teacher and her dad just came back from the trip of a lifetime, courtesy of JetBlue. They didn't know where they were going at first, just that they were taking an international trip to volunteer. And the two tell me the experience was everything they could have asked for and more. Last month, when she stumbled upon an ad for JetBlue for Good. It's a program from the commercial airliner that funds all expenses paid volunteer trips in their partner cities around the world. They were looking for applicants for a late November getaway.
I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I might as well. What the heck?
2 weeks later, Jen got an email from JetBlue saying that she'd been selected for the trip.
And I had 3 other coworkers read the email to make sure that I wasn't going crazy.
Jen's dad, Mike, even more shocked.
Didn't know anything about it until she told me she had won and then asked me if I wanted to go with her.
why take dear old dad?
He's just always been there, and he continues to do this stuff even after I'm gone. So I thought it'd be fun to go with him.
But they didn't know where they were going.
Really only told us like what to pack, and that it was going to be highs were in the 80s and lows were in the 70s.
Until they arrived at JFK last Tuesday morning and got the tickets. A round-trip flight to the Dominican Republic, jam-packed with 3 days of volunteering, singing and dancing with kids at local schools.
And I got to work on a music mural, so that was really exciting.
For Mike, it was a chance to see his little girl giving back.
See her interaction with the kids. Just made me very proud.
Now it's back to reality for Jen and Mike, but their experience in the DR never far from their minds or hearts.
I'm really excited to be able to bring back what I learned and what I saw to my students in South Portland, and they're really excited to hear about it too.
So Mike's retiring in 4 months, and he says he's already looking at opportunities to volunteer. He just wants to double down on the efforts now that he's come back from the DR.
That was so nice. What a great story. What a great
awesome?
Program too, and to have somebody from our little state get chosen. That was pretty cool.
Really
Good
exciting.
stuff.
Right.
Speaking of cool, it's gonna get cold.
Oh yeah, that's not cool.
The cold miser.
Today was great.
Today was nice.
Yesterday was kind of trash, but today.
Yeah, yesterday was.
You've forgotten about it already.
Yeah,
that's good.
I saw a lot of people yesterday posting about sump pumps yesterday.
Yeah.
So it was a sump pump kind of day.
Yeah, if it kicks in and but you know, we've had about 12 inches of rain in the past month, so if your sump pump's kicking in, that's not shocking. Doesn't mean anything too bad. 53 officially in Portland today, 38 in Bangor, so you can see this transition zone between above average temperatures and below average temperatures. But for the most part, it was a decent day. Some showers over northern Maine and some snow showers across Aroostook County and even into the mountains here. They did lose some snowpack yesterday, obviously, with the rain transitioning there. But overall, there's just a ton still on the ground, so still off to a really good start in the mountains. This is a cold front right here. That's why there's snow showers along it. It moves through tonight, winds shift, and we start cooling down during the day tomorrow. So it was a one-shot deal today. We kind of knew that last week when we had one day to get into the 50s and then back to below average temperatures, as has been kind of the pattern through November. November came in at the 5th coldest November on record in Portland. So, I'm sorry, 6th. Because I remember being annoyed that it didn't fit in the board. So 6th coldest November. But regardless, that trend will continue into December. Hour-by-hour forecast showing temperatures dropping tonight. Tomorrow is a sunny day, but it's chilly, only getting to around freezing along the coastline, not even freezing in the mountains and across northern Maine. And then very cold on Wednesday morning, again, only around 30 on Wednesday afternoon, partly cloudy. Notice, though, nothing really going on as far as precipitation for the next few, maybe a flurry on Friday. That's about it. Here's Wednesday morning, though, back to the cold stuff. Teens along the coastline, single digits pretty easily into the mountains and perhaps even a little bit colder than that. The overall pattern, though, is amped up but a little east, meaning there's some pretty big storms out there, but they should just miss to our east. One will come in here on Wednesday. That'll be out to sea. And then the next one comes in Sunday and into Monday. And this is an interesting storm because it's going to be big. It's going to be blocked up, high here, low here. And so typically that can be trouble for us. But the models at this point, at least, are kicking that one out to sea as well. So a lot of opportunities, but most of them kind of go begging, which most people are probably okay with. And we talked about this last week, guys, how it's funny how you can go from so far above average snowfall to start being more average if you get a couple of week drought. And so this week is a drought where we're not going to see any snow. They can keep making snow in the mountains. And I don't think I've ever skied before the 15th of December, but I feel like I've missed the season already.
Yeah,
like
right?
People are that hyped about it. There's that much on Instagram about it that I'm like,
they're getting snow.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
There's no reason not to go.
Snow,
if this was like a April day and it was like that, I'd be out there. It's just like a mentality. I wasn't ready, but it's still out there.
All right, well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
appreciate that. All right, we want to share this with you guys. You probably have already seen it. If you haven't, you're gonna, probably cry. Just an unbelievable picture.
I cry
here.
every time I see
Tugs
this
at the heartstring. This obviously is George H.W. Bush's service dog. Spent a moment with the 41st president's casket last night ahead of what's going to be a week filled with memorial services. This photo came from the dog's Instagram page. Sully has his own, Sully H.W. Bush, and the caption read mission complete. As we mentioned earlier, President George H.W. Bush now lying in state in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol. We'll have more news from News Center Cindy Williams in Washington as the carefully choreographed ceremonies honoring the late president play out.
And drug-sniffing dogs are trained to detect all sorts of illicit drugs, but what happens when one of the substances they're taught to find is no longer illegal? Such is the case with marijuana in Maine. Shannon Moss looks into that. And those stories and more coming up on News Center at 5:30.
We're coming back with Brain Drops after this.
Yeah, every time I see that picture, I cry.
Say again? Sometimes. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah. It's a work in progress. I'm used to it at this point, so we just. No, we do a lot of on-the-fly stuff. It's all good.
Oh, should I not leave?
It's fine. Yeah, we're going over there.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. I wasn't watching the clock. Yeah. Oh no, you're fine.
No worries, Pat.
Hey, did the feed go away? Our NBC feed, or is it still there? A couple people have asked. That's all. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Not sure. Yeah, it looks like it's still live.
No, the feed's still there, guys. That NBC feed is still there. John. It's on the Facebook page. Didn't Cam do a good job with that story? It's a great story.
Thank you. That was so fun to shoot.
What a great initiative to, you win a free trip, but you're going to do work, like
and help.
Go sit on the beach for 3 days sipping pina coladas. Like this is, that's a gift to be able to go and help people, and it's a great idea.
And it wasn't this kitschy, like, oh, we're there to put smiles on the kids' faces. The dad said they have smiles on their faces already. We're just here to add to the experience. Yep. And so that's such a fabulous perspective, especially when you're volunteering.
Yeah, it was good. All good. Good hustle, Eva. All right, let's move. You got a lot of talking to do with it, Chris. No, we're good. You got things to say?
This is about the foods.
I thought those were snowmen at first.
I know, I've had that before. I've had people say that.
How much protein do you really need?
Okay, so this comes from two places. One, my mom being a nutritionist, and she bitches about this all the time that people think they need so much. It's okay. I think you can say that on TV.
Yeah.
Reminding you?
Yeah. And the other place is the meathead culture at the gym I go to. So like a lot of guys who are into bodybuilding or weightlifting will be like, oh, you should have 2 grams of protein per body weight, which is insane.
And like keto stuff too, right? Isn't that all protein based?
Yep. All right, which way to the protein, brah? Let's talk about it.
Do it.
So my mom is a nutritionist, and she talks about this a lot, that people overdo protein because now everything has protein in it. A lot of bread has protein added to it and whatnot. And so the long and short of this, I saw this on NPR, and I thought it was interesting. They talk about the average person should have 50 or 60 grams of protein a day, which a lot of us achieve between breakfast and lunch. And so it's not that hard to do. What's behind the protein craze, if we can go to the next one, is it's a huge industry now. So supplementation and protein-based snacking has just been up and up and up, and then projections are even higher. Here's the problem. Your body actually can't handle that much protein. So it does one of two things with excess protein. It stores it as fat, which is what our body will do most of the time with any extra nutrient, or the byproduct that it produces through the metabolism factor is it strains your kidneys. You can actually hurt your kidneys from eating too much protein. So I know these guys who like to work out, and they say, oh, you should have 2 grams of protein per body weight. Okay, so I'm about 160. That's an insane amount of protein. 300 and something grams of protein. To give you a comparison, when my mom worked with burn victims, they wouldn't do 2 grams. And you're trying to regrow an organ. So just keep in mind, protein is good. It keeps you full. But this is the problem with nutrition. It's not that the nutrition changes that much. People just latch onto one part of it, and then they just go too far. You know, it was like cholesterol was the devil, and then they started eating sugar. So, just keep this in mind. Don't overdo it, because it can actually be bad for you. Just keep that in mind.
So I know I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you had to guess, how much protein in like a Twinkie?
Oh, 0.
So I'm good.
Yeah,
I can eat as many of those as I want.
Yes. And those energy drinks don't have much protein
I am
either. So
winning on a Monday.
Yeah.
Twinkies and energy drinks. What could possibly go wrong?
The protein bars are another thing that, like, nutritionally are similar to candy bars. So, I mean, I've eaten them. We've all done it. You're in a pinch. But they're not that great for you for the most part. There's a few brands coming out now that are good for you, but they taste like dirt.
They sound a little bit healthy, so I'm fundamentally.
Yeah, you're out.
I'm against it. Yeah, I'm against it.
No candy.
I am not against New Center Maine at 5:30. You know why? Because it starts. Right. Coming. See you.